on sentences. Sentences are made up of clauses, and a simple sentence then has just one main clause. But a compound sentence has two or more independent clauses. In other words, each clause could stand on its own. So he opened the door could be a sentence, there was nobody there could also be a sentence. But a complex sentence contains one or more dependent clauses, or sometimes called subordinate clauses. So if you see her, that's dependent, it can't stand on its own as a sentence. So conjunctions link these clauses. So coordinators, coordinating conjunctions, link elements with the same syntactic role. In other words, two independent clauses are linked by coordinating conjunctions, whereas subordinators introduce dependent clauses which can't stand alone without the main clause. And we'll discuss these in more detail later on in the course. Okay, a little bit on form and function when it comes to sentences. So we talk about the forms of sentences, syntactic forms, as declarative, interrogative, imperative, and exclamative, whereas their functions are statement, question, directive, exclamation. So generally we talk about questions rather than interrogatives, but strictly speaking we should talk about interrogatives in terms of the form of the sentence, the kind of sentence that ends in a question mark. So declaratives have a certain form, subject, verb, possibly object. Interrogatives invert, as we'll go on to see, and imperatives obviously just have the verb itself, and exclamatives are just what a nice day, that sort of thing. Note that form and function are different things. When we talk about functions, we sometimes talk about uses or meanings. Illocutionary force. So this exercise asks you to identify the form of each sentence and the function of each sentence. So the form is fixed, the function you may have some disagreement about what it should be called, but I'll put up a key so that you can check your answers later on. So as I say, interrogatives, we often call them question forms, but strictly speaking, we're just talking about the syntax. So we have different types of interrogative: yes, no questions, polar questions, sometimes you'll see. So I'm okay, am I okay? She can fly, can she fly? He likes coffee, does he like coffee? And then you get WH questions, starting with a WH word, as we call them, but that also includes how. Note a little problem for learners with who and what, because who and what can refer to the subject or the object. So Juliet loves Romeo. Who does Juliet love? Or who loves Romeo? Two possible questions. The mouse ate the cheese. What ate the cheese? Or what did the mouse eat? Negative questions. Now we're moving to higher levels for learners. Don't you like this? Tag questions of different sorts, and indirect questions, which are really quite difficult, and quite high level learners are still having problems with these. He asked me if I'd seen the cat, rather than he asked me, did I see the cat? Do you know when the next train leaves? Rather than do you know when does the next train leave?